So you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas and you want more information about the town. Well, that's exactly what I'm gonna do for you here. In this video, I'm gonna give you 31 things that you need to know before you move to Las Vegas. First thing that you should know before you move to Las Vegas is that this city has no last call. So what that could mean for you, if you like to go out, if you like to have a good time, that they actually serve alcohol 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no time that they stop selling it in the stores or stop serving it at bar establishments. If that bar establishment is open, then they serve alcohol. Another thing that you should know about Las Vegas is that gambling isn't just confined to casinos. It's actually also in gas stations and local establishments that you may visit, sometimes in grocery stores. But at the same time, there's no lottery for the state of Nevada. So the gambling is there, but there's no lottery. You're gonna have to go to California to get that. That being said, Las Vegas is not the Strip. Most locals don't even go to the Strip when they live here. And unless they're playing tour guide and unless they want to sit in traffic, because that's probably the only part of Vegas that has traffic. But typically there's neighborhood casinos and neighborhood bars and entertainment that we can go to. We don't have to actually go to the Strip. On this channel, we talk about all things Las Vegas. If that's something that interests you, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And also make sure the notification bell's turned on so you're hit up every time I post a new video. One of the things that gets to people sometimes is the heat in Nevada. It may be a surprise if you come here in the summer that it's above 110 for a few months, but that's definitely something that you should keep in mind, and make sure you always have sunscreen. My AC actually blew out in the summertime, and I wasn't prepared with the AC floor units, and we had to go to several Home Depots to find them. But that's something you want to keep in mind when you move to Las Vegas, is that you want to be prepared for the heat and prepared for the dryness. The dryness is something that is very intense in Las Vegas. People definitely underestimate it. You definitely want to consider getting a humidifier, definitely want to stay hydrated, use lotion, things like that. Las Vegas, it has been dubbed Sin City for a very long time, but actually there's a lot of things that do not take place inside of Las Vegas, at least legally, and that is fireworks and prostitution. Those things are illegal in Clark County, and Pahrump is some ways away, about 40 minutes away, and that's actually where they have those type of things going on. It's not happening in Clark County, at least illegally. Las Vegas has a lot of museums. It has the Neon Museum. There's a museum dedicated to the mob. There's a children's museum. There's so many museums and things to do if you like to see those type of things. People tend to think of the gambling and the things like I mentioned earlier, but they underestimate how many museums are actually in the city of Las Vegas. The cost of living in Las Vegas is generally lower than most major cities, especially the ones on the coast. Now, Las Vegas isn't on the coast, but it's fairly close to it. And per square foot, the property values can be less than half of what they actually are in LA. So if you're coming from California, especially in places like New York, Las Vegas is definitely going to be cheaper cost of living wise, and other places around the country as well. This is going to be a place that can leave more money in your pocket. Speaking of money in your pocket, Las Vegas, well, Nevada in general, doesn't have a state income tax. So at the end of the year, or at tax season, you're going to have to pay the federal income tax that we all pay, but you're not going to have to pay that extra state income tax that you have to pay in places like California. Not only do we have no state income tax, but we have low property taxes as well. In fact, Las Vegas usually ranks towards the bottom of the country in the price of property tax. So you're going to look at about 1%. That's what at the time of the video, what has been happening annually is about 1% for property taxes. But of course that fluctuates, and you're going to definitely get a little bit more than that on the new home builds. But as far as resale homes are concerned, you're going to have low property taxes compared to other parts of the country. My name is Omar Willis, and I'm a realtor in the Las Vegas area. If you're even thinking about moving to Las Vegas, could be 2 months, 2 weeks, could be 2 years. It's best to start the process early. And I love the opportunity to earn your business. Everything you need to reach me is in the description box below. Okay, so this is a two-parter. First, the traffic. The traffic in Las Vegas I guess all of Nevada, but the traffic in Las Vegas is very low compared to nearby major cities such as Los Angeles. It takes you about 15 to 35 minutes to get across the city. And that's pretty fast if you ask me, to go across the city. And that being said, we don't really talk about the distance to get to someplace in miles, because you can actually go pretty far, pretty fast in Las Vegas. So generally we're going to say how many minutes it takes to get there. So if, for instance, if you're at the airport, I may say I'm 10 minutes away from the airport, or 30 minutes as opposed to 5 miles from the airport. Something that people get confused early on in their Las Vegas trips is the difference between downtown and the Strip. The Strip and downtown are two different areas, with the downtown area kind of being centered around what could be considered old Vegas or old Las Vegas. Some of the older movies that were filmed in Las Vegas were filmed there. And the Strip is where a lot of the larger casinos and resorts are. That's where you're going to have a lot of the larger residencies and performances on the Las Vegas Strip. But downtown has a lot of benefits as well. Usually you can get things for a bit cheaper than you would on the Strip. Not only does your dollar go a little bit further, but there's actually different things like zip line, and there's usually live music, and of course street performers, and all types of food to eat there. So I definitely recommend seeing downtown, especially if it's your first time coming to Vegas. And when you do, plan on spending at least a day there to try to see everything. But if you are really pressed for time, you can definitely get through most of downtown in about half a day before you spend the rest of your time on the Strip and surrounding areas. I've said this before in previous videos, but you definitely want to know that if you move to Las Vegas, you're going to get visitors. People who you haven't talked to in years are going to show up. They're going to want to come see you. They want to see Vegas and they want to hang out. And that can be a good and a bad thing, but it's definitely something that you want to be aware of. I spoke briefly about downtown, but I want to add a few points to it. There's a container park, which is kind of an outdoor play area, has some bars, restaurants, shops there. There's a praying mantis, a large art praying mantis that shoots fire. Yeah, it shoots fire. And the Arts District is down there. There's art installations and museums. And the Zappos founder has put down, I think, about $350 million into a revitalization project to further build up downtown. So there's so many things to do there, and that's definitely going to be a place where more locals go as opposed to the Strip. Food in Las Vegas is world class. Part of the reason is because the Strip and most of the things entertainment wise, food wise on the Strip are world class. They're attracting people from around the globe. But that affects the areas off the Strip as well, because they have to compete with the areas on the Strip. They don't want you to go to the Strip to get your meals, your dinner, your date nights. They want you to stay local. So they actually do a very good job of competing, and there's a lot of great local places to eat. Sometimes these local places have been in these families for generations. So you definitely want to check out some of the local eateries around Las Vegas. And I'm going to include this one because sometimes people forget that it's just a regular city. Las Vegas is a regular city like any other city. And yes, we have all those amenities that you have in other cities, like Walmart, Target, restaurants like In-N-Out, White Castle, Jack in the Box. All the regular things that you would get in most major cities, those are all in Las Vegas and in various areas of Las Vegas. So definitely want to look at moving to Las Vegas like you would moving to any other major city. So as far as the cost of living is concerned in grocery stores, in my experience, it seems that the grocery stores are a little bit cheaper in Las Vegas versus, say, LA, but there are some produce items that you can get cheaper in LA, but generally Las Vegas is cheaper across the board than California. Something else to keep in mind about Las Vegas and Nevada in general is that Nevada is an open carry state. So if you do see someone having a gun, or it could be a big gun or whatever, that's something that is actually legal here. You have to have a permit to have your weapon concealed. But keep in mind that Nevada is an open carry state. That being said, I've been here a while and I've been coming back and forth to this city for a very long time, and I don't think I've ever seen it, but it's just something that you definitely should keep in mind. Like I said before, the traffic is very good and you don't have to really go outside of your part of the city if you don't want to. That's the next point. This city is very compartmental. So if you live in an area, let's say you live in Summerlin, I know lots of people who live in Summerlin that never even leave Summerlin. They live in Summerlin, they work in Summerlin, they play in Summerlin. And a lot can be said about that for the rest of the city. There's neighborhoods that you can just stay there if you like. You don't really have to do anything. They have all the amenities you could want. The city is very compartmentalized. So something I've noticed in Las Vegas is that the newer homes have generally smaller lots. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. If you're looking for something with a bit more land, you might have to go for a home that might be a little bit older, or you could get something newer and you might have to pay a heavier price for it. So that's something to keep in mind, that the lot sizes in Las Vegas are running kind of on the small side. You're going to see a lot of big houses with kind of a small front and backyard. People always want to know what are the good areas of Las Vegas, and I think there's good and bad areas all around town. It's like most major cities, as I said earlier. One resource that you can look and use to answer that question better for you is the crime map. I believe it's hosted by the police department, but all you have to do is type in Las Vegas crime map in Google. It should be the first thing to pop up. Use that at your own discretion. That's probably the best tool to give you an idea of what areas might be best for you. There are so many activities to do outside in the Las Vegas area. In fact, just in Summerlin alone, there's 250 parks and over 150 miles of walking trails. There's hiking nearby. There's actually skiing nearby Las Vegas. There's lakes. There's lots of things to do, and you don't have to go that far out of the city, and some of them are even in the city. Another question I get asked often is, what are the good schools? Well, there's a lot of different schools in Las Vegas. We have magnet schools, we have performing arts schools, and of course we have private and public schools. What you want to do is definitely do your own research, but the website you want to go to for a lot of that is ccsd.net. That's the Clark County School District, which is the school district for Las Vegas. There's a lot of debate about this, but I'm just going to say it right now. The correct pronunciation is Nevada. It's not Nevada. But I don't know. I think sometimes I even say Nevada myself, but the correct pronunciation is Nevada. So something that's really cool, like I said earlier, each part of town is kind of compartmentalized. They have these local casino resorts, and the local casino resorts kind of act as community centers. They have bowling, some of them have movie theaters. They have a lot of things to do, and the locals definitely take advantage of this. If you were having a night out, this might be some place that you will go to, is the local casino resort. One of the most popular ones is the Red Rock Casino in Summerlin. So you definitely want to check that out if you get a chance. Something that's very cool about Las Vegas is that we have a sports scene here now. We have the Raiders, we have the Golden Knights, we have WNBA, we have UNLV's teams. We have a lot of sports here. We have minor league baseball. And to me, that just further makes Las Vegas one of the best cities in America. There's a lot to do, there's a lot of sports, and you get to really pick your team. And you get to follow new teams that the community is continually embracing. So those are some things that you need to know before you move to Las Vegas. If I missed anything, leave it in the comment section below. If you want to see a more detailed video about the pros and cons of living in Las Vegas, you can check out my pros and cons video after this one. I know when I first moved to Las Vegas, I had no clue about a lot of things. I thought this city wasn't even really a city. I just thought it was a large tourist area. But in fact, this city has a lot of homes and apartments. It's just another city, really. And I've lived in Washington, D.C., Seattle, Los Angeles. And I would say that Las Vegas and San Diego are my two favorite cities. But Las Vegas holds a special part in my heart. And that's a special place in my heart. That's where I chose to bring my family and put our footing down. So I hope the info in this video was helpful. If you want to know more about Las Vegas, click one of the videos on screen that make the most sense to you.